Well, hello everyone. I'm very glad to see you. As I see you every week, I'm getting used to this cohort. So I wanted to introduce to you Asta, who is the leader for this webinar, and I would like to start with just introducing her as a human, as a person. She is one of the most authentic and passionate people that I've met, and I hope that she will inspire you with her engagement and passion for the work that she's doing. And her work is about social and emotional education through group facilitation. So her larger vision is to rehumanize the status quo. So I think that Asta would really like to make all organizations be human-centered, person-centered. Her bachelor degree in human relations and spirituality focused on effective communication and conflict management, increasing these aspects of cultural diversity and religious pluralism. She has an MA in Transformative Leadership, and she has focused on the dynamic of balancing tasks and relationships in education, business, family, and self-care. She has a background as a registered holistic nutritionist and ESL teacher, and she prioritizes a whole person care approach, recognizing the critical relationship between mind, body, and the human spirit. She is also a person who thrives on exploring the art of maximizing human potential by creating time and space that supports dialogue, ethics of care, and whole person learning while creating a sense of self-efficacy and belonging. So being neurodivergent, mental health is at the heart of her work, and her motivation and inspiration is her 12-year-old son. So I'm very happy to introduce Asta to you, and she will be leading us into the topic of strengthening commitment and a shared vision and purpose. Thank you, Asta.
Oh, thank you, Bianca, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you all again. This is literally what I live for, so I'm so honored that you're here to join me to chat for the next hour about shared vision and purpose. I am trying to switch my slide. There we go. So I just wanted to send a welcome to each of you that are with us today, but I also wanted to send a heartfelt welcome to everyone who's going to watch the recording later. And I just want to acknowledge that today I am on the Kichisibi Algonquin Nation territory, and I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm grateful to be here in this space with you all. Just very quickly, we're going to practice what we preach. We're going to open with a small 5-minute meditation. And then we're going to very quickly chat about the foundation of vision and purpose in a company. And then we're going to do a little experiential activity just to help bring it more to life for you. And then the heart of our hour is going to be about balancing tasks and relationships. As it was mentioned last week, that whole connecting before correcting is literally the heart of what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to borrow a little bit from Otto Scharmer in regards to maintaining an open heart, open mind, and open will. And then we're going to practice relational language. So we're going to really hone in on relational leadership skills today. And then we're going to close just by practicing some virtues acknowledgements with each other. And it's really nice that you've all worked together in discussion groups, and some of you have known each other from the previous webinar series, so you do have relationships built already so that you can really acknowledge each other. I'm really excited to be a part of that with you. So just to shake off everything that's happened this morning, everything that happened over the weekend, your children, your spouse, your colleagues, your bosses, your digestive system, we're just going to shake it all off for 5 minutes and 56 seconds. She will guide you when to close your eyes if you feel called to close your eyes. And then we'll move into our conversation for the day.
A loving kindness meditation for self-compassion. So we'll practice this sitting down. So whether that's on a cushion on the floor or in a chair, we want to find an upright posture. And If sitting upright is not possible for you, if you have a lot of pain or otherwise it's difficult, we can also practice this laying down. And if we are laying down, we may just want to have our eyes gently open so that we don't fall asleep during this. If you're in a chair, let's bring our feet flat on the floor and our hands relaxed and in our lap. And also our back will be upright, not leaning back on the chair, but leaning forward a little bit with our ears in line with our shoulders in line with our hips. So this open and upright position with our eyes either gently closed or, if you prefer, just gently open with a soft gaze. And taking a few moments to bring our attention to our breath, to arrive in this time, in this place right now. And we'll start to repeat a wish of well-being for ourselves. And we can silently say to ourselves, may I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Offering this gentle wish of well-being to ourselves. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Silently repeating this to ourselves. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Letting these words wash over us. This gentle wish for well-being for ourselves. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Anytime we find ourselves distracted, which happens, we just gently observe that we're distracted and then come back to the present moment and to this wish for ourselves. May I have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Now we're going to expand this wish outward to all beings in all directions, everyone. And we can say silently, may all beings have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. May all beings have happiness, health, safety, and well-being. Sending out this wish of love to everyone in all directions. May all beings have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. May all beings have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. And we know that compassion for others begins with compassion for ourselves. And so that's why we focus on that. We focus on cultivating that love, that wish for deepest well-being for ourselves again and again. Many of us have a lot of resistance to this kind of thought towards ourselves. I mean, that's interesting to investigate as well. So we just are gentle with ourselves, and we just can continue to wish ourselves well and expand that wish out to others. So as you're going about your day, you may even want to offer that wish to people you encounter in your day silently as you're walking by. Oh, may this person have deepest well-being. May they have happiness, health, and safety. May that person have happiness, health, safety, and deepest well-being. Just silently offering that throughout your day and see how that changes your experience. A loving kindness meditation for
So I'll just give us all a moment, come back and rejoin us. Does anybody feel called to share how that felt? Okay. So we'll just take a nice inhale and exhale, and then we'll get down to business. So I wanted to go ahead and make this as realistic and everyday as possible. So I actually pulled up the visions and missions of 3 of the companies that are attending these webinars. So for our friends in Winnipeg, for our friends here in Ottawa, and then of course, we're part of St. Paul University hosting. So I just wanted to take a minute to take a peek at these vision and mission statements to see where we feel them in our body when we read them, if we feel them in our body when we read them. Do we understand what they're offering? Do we understand, if we were to work for one of these companies, do we understand what we're walking into, what kind of a culture we're walking into, what values and priorities they're working towards? And then I also separated each company's values. So we're going to talk about this, and there's a lot of, interestingly, there's a lot of crossover. Like I noticed fairness is part of accountability. Both two of the companies have respect. There's comprehensiveness for one company, but the other company refers to collaboration as comprehensiveness. So I just wanted to help redefine the foundation of our vision and our mission using values and virtues. So I pulled some of the values from the visions, from the missions that we saw. So we had quality, but what does quality look like? Like in our daily work, what does quality look like? In our conversations, what does quality look like? In the products or services that we're creating, what does quality look like? So we're able to tap into virtues with this. So, and I'm sorry, I have to just minimize you guys so I can see my screen, but I want to see your beautiful faces. Quality was the first one. The second one was transparency. One of the visions and missions said transparency. So truthfulness and honesty. That's what transparency is actually trying to call us out for. Dignity. What does dignity look like? Respect, fairness, compassion. What does diversity look like? How can I bring diversity into the workplace? The virtues of collaboration, engagement, and unity. Ecology. What does ecology in the workplace look like? So accountability and unity. So I've pulled all the different words, the virtue words and the value words from the vision and mission statements and the value statements, and just kind of trying to illustrate the difference. So truth and reconciliation with First Nations people was one of St. Paul's priorities, but what does that actually look like? Learning, openness, and humanity. Comprehensiveness. What does that look like? What does that mean? It means clear service for who we're serving. So the main difference between values and virtues is that one is external doing and the other is intrinsic being. Virtues is literally what makes up the universal human condition. Every human baby that is born with these virtues inside of them. It is literally the heart of humanity. So when we're looking to connect with people, it's our humanity that we use to connect with people. And virtues are one of the languages we can use to help clarify our doing language with our, what we can pull out, extract from ourselves that's already waiting to be used. So one of the readings I had in your resources on the Sutra platform is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's a very short and sweet read. Some of you probably already read it. And it just talks a little bit more about the value of our words and the power of words and how words influence our actions, thoughts, and emotions, which is all critical to creating unity in a mission or vision. So just wanted to give an example. We pulled out quality and we replaced it with excellence. So what does excellence and quality look like? And this is one of our tools. So the Virtues Project offers some virtues cards, and each of the cards specifies what these actions, what these tangible things look like. So I'll just very quickly read the excellence one, just to give you an example of what the definitions sound like. So excellence. Excellence is giving our very best to any task we do and any relationship we have. So in the first line, it talks about balancing tasks and relationships. Within us are many possibilities. Excellence hones our talents and turns them into gifts for the world. Excellence requires us to practice humility by learning from mistakes. Each time we do something, we seek to improve it, to keep raising the bar. Excellence is effort guided by a noble purpose. And that's what we're here to talk about today, vision and purpose, a common vision and purpose. It is ongoing mastery. It flows when we are doing what we love. The perfection of a seed is the fruit that grows from it. Excellence in our lives brings our gifts to fruition. So on the opposite side of the card, it has always a quote at the top. When love and skill work together, expect a masterpiece. Again, balancing tasks and relationships. So what does the practice of excellence look like? I give my best to all that I do. I give my best to my relationships, tasks, and relationships. I'm a lifelong learner. I fulfill my true possibilities. I strive for mastery, and I work with love, the journey from the head to the heart. I'm thankful for the gift of excellence. It is my true prosperity. So I just wanted to share that for each of the different virtues, there is some backing as to what is it trying to teach us and how can we turn it into an action. So again, the heart of our conversation is tasks and relationships. And I borrowed from Blake, I always forget his first name, but it's Mr. Blake and Jane Mouton. And they've created this leadership grid. And on the left, you see the concern for people. So low concern for people, high concern for people. And horizontally, we have low concern for production or for product and high. So the status quo is getting everything done, but not getting written up and just making sure that we're making all of our quotas. But this is where we start to manage tasks and relationships. There's a high value for the people involved, and there's a high value for the result of what you're creating together. So the problem with our current culture and society, the whole patriarchal capitalist situation we're living in, is that we get raises and promotions when we focus on our tasks, yet our effectiveness and influence comes from our relationships. And the relationships is the most important part to creating that unity towards a shared vision or a shared mission. So we're kind of changing the idea from hiring staff and creating products to leading people and producing results. And that's a quote directly from Blake and Mouton. And so the second video I have posted is the Simon Sinek video. is absolutely fantastic. He's a very engaging presenter. He's like my biggest intellectual crush. Definitely worth your time. And then I just wanted to point out that if you really want to get into the nitty-gritties, I mean, you're in the right place. This is what we do. The School of Transformative Leadership, the Institute for Transformative Leadership, is all about this. And it's a testament to you. I mean, you're already here. You're already in that team management grid. So the rest of our time together, we're going to talk about the keys that we require to move within the grid, to move within that team leadership, team management grid. And the key is humanizing relationships and normalizing relationality. That really is what it comes down to. So I'm borrowing, just like last week, borrowing from Otto Scharmer, Theory U, and Bianca is actually trained at his Presencing Institute. So she's a fantastic person to talk to if you want more information about this type of thing. But he talks about the key to having an open mind is tapping into curiosity. The key to having an open heart is tapping into compassion. And the key to having an open will is tapping into your courage. Or if you're a faith-based person, you might use the word trust. Now, of course, we're all riddled with the human condition. So we constantly have two voices. We have the voice of curiosity and we have the voice of judgment. So whenever we hear the voice of judgment creeping up, we can always redirect to curiosity. As soon as we catch ourselves being cynical about something or someone, we can just redirect back to compassion. And as soon as we catch ourselves being afraid, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of disappointing someone, fear of not having the right resources, fear of not being supported, fear of resistance from your superiors, you just tap right back into courage. And one of the videos I have, How to Not Take Things Personally, it's written by, it's not written, it's presented, it's a TED Talk by a European actor who chooses to be a soccer referee for the sole purpose of learning how to not take things personally. And he's also very engaging in how he presents, and you'll get a good chuckle out of him. So again, what we're trying to do, this is the second key. The second key is being aware of the cognitive behavior triangle. So our thoughts affect how we feel and act. Our behavior is based on what we think and feel, and our emotions are based on what we think and do. So everything is interconnected, and the goal is to connect the head and the heart. So when you're leading a conversation, you're always trying to get the whole human in the room. You're trying to get the whole human into the conversation. In sales and marketing, what is their first rule? Go to the heart. You can sell anything if you trigger their emotions. So that power can be used for good too. And this is how we use it for good. So the third key I wanted to show you. So here we are, we're all willing and open, and we're gonna try and work in our team leadership. We're gonna manage and value tasks and relationships. But who we think we are is not always who we actually are. How we think we behave is not always what other people see in our behavior. So the Johari window is a brilliant tool, and I actually use this with my 12-year-old son sometimes because he always says, "Oh, you're always blaming me, you're always blaming me." And I use this tool to say, "No, I'm not blaming you. I'm pointing out a blind spot. I'm pointing out something that I know about you, but that you don't recognize in yourself. And so now you have a choice what you want to do with that. You can work with it, you can ignore it, you can project it. It's totally in your control what you do with it." So I'll just give a few quick examples of, so open. You've known me for 5 minutes and you know that I'm a very loud, very expressive person. I know this and you know this. Hidden. Not known to you is the mental health labels that I struggle with on a daily basis. and try and present as a normal, fully functioning human. So I know what I deal with on a daily basis, but you don't know what I deal with on a daily basis. So that's my hidden self. My blind self, a great example, I did not realize that I run on Asta time. And I didn't realize this until an ex-boyfriend of mine pointed it out. And he said, okay, so we're meeting at this time. Are we meeting at this time or are we meeting at this time, Asta time? And I thought, what? I thought I was so punctual. I want to be respectful, but that was a blind spot. I literally didn't know that I was always running late because my intention was always to be respectfully on time. So my blind spot became more open. I became more self-aware. So now when I make plans with anybody, I say, okay, we're going to meet at like today. Today we were meeting at 12 o'clock real time, not 12 o'clock Asta time. So because I'm aware of that, I can include that in my relationships without it being a stressful thing. The unknown example I like to use, not known to you and not known to me. I love facilitating. I literally feel it's what I was born to do. But I don't know, and you don't know, if I could do this in a different language. I know I rock this in English, but neither of us know whether I can do this in French or Lithuanian. So that's an unknown. So the goal is always to be able to share as much of yourself with yourself, of course, but then with the people around you so that you can incorporate your whole self into the thing. And it's like my time thing, at work, people don't have to get stressed about my lack of time awareness because we point it out right then and there. Asta, this is IRL time, not Asta time. And it's dealt with, we laugh about it, and we move on, right? So our negatives aren't necessarily negatives. Our negatives are sometimes just things we need to be aware of. So I love this tool. I love this tool. And if ever you have to deal with somebody where you need to bring up a blind spot, you can literally pull this out. I've done this like at retail jobs, where I've just said, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I'm just, checking in with you so that we can work through this together. And it's very helpful. So I realize I'm preaching to the choir here when I'm posting this, the difference between being a leader and being a boss. But I'm a very visual person, so I just wanted to share this image. And the difference in the image is that one is focusing on tasks, while the other is focusing on relationality. And the output is one of them gets the tasks completed, the other one has a unified team, results, collaboration, harmony, all of those things, just because you're being a full human in your role. So we've talked about the what. The what about maintaining this shared vision and shared mission and shared purpose is relationality. The why is the unity. And unity doesn't exist without creating understanding and clarity. And the Johari window, for example, helps with understanding your blind spots, understanding your hidden spots. And then the Blake Mouton managerial grid, understanding where you fall on the grid, being willing to move on the grid. And being honest with your colleagues about what's showing up at work. So this is a list of 100 virtues, and this is going to be our how. So we are going to learn how to speak relationally. We're going to learn how to guide, how to correct, and how to encourage without using any blaming or shaming, which is what our cultural norm is. So this is going to be a little group activity. And again, I love, it's very exciting that there's like a whole group here, the Winnipeg group, because this is something that you can really work on together and then move forward with. So this was designed as personal virtues shield. So it's to bring out, to illuminate in your daily life your innate skills and your innate talents and your innate abilities. So we're going to use this instead as a vision and mission virtues shield. So we're going to think of your company or whatever purpose you're here for vision and mission and purpose. And you're going to look at the list of virtues. So in the middle, it says your totem. So your totem, so for me, my totem is enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic about everything that I like, everything. I'm enthusiastic about weather. I'm enthusiastic about animals, about humans, about emotions. Like, I'm just enthusiastic. So that's my totem. My core virtues, one would definitely be justice. And my challenge virtue is definitely patience. Because I'm so hardcore, I just kind of expect things to get done because I'm so committed to them. But that's not how it works when you're dealing with humans, unfortunately, or systems for that matter. So I just wonder, I welcome you to unmute yourselves, especially the Winnipeg group, because you are here together. So if you look at the list on the right, having reflected on the vision and mission and values that we looked at the beginning, what do you think really represents the purpose of your company and of the work that you're doing? I see lots of people looking and writing, so I can see lots of wheels turning. This is good.
Well, maybe I'll start. Justice.
Thank you, France.
Came out for me.
Okay.
And that would be just trying to, I'm trying to think of the English word for revendiquer, like just to get justice, advocate. Right, for some of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
In some of their situations and trying to get them some help in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Integrity also, and empathy.
I'll add compassion too. That's the one that jumped out to me right away as kind of one of the number ones.
Thank you, Michelle. France, as I was listening to you, the word purposefulness popped into my mind. You have a very strong purpose in what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And again, I didn't point out, and I should have, I apologize, that all of those virtues cards are available. Like, you can either download the app for free. I'm not promoting anything, but you can download it for free. Or you can, if like, I'm technically challenged, so that stresses me out. So I just go into Google and type the Virtues Project Compassion Card, enter, and it pops up. But there are different apps and stuff that if they, they pop up during the day or whatever. And I have 2 decks in my house that I physically use. And they have them for like for lay people, they have them for First Nations people, they have them for Christians, for Buddhists, for Hindus, for Muslims, like, so that all of the quotes at the beginning are relevant to whatever your faith is. And I have one deck like for children for my son, so that it's a little bit more geared towards that. But just FYI, they have, I think, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think probably 20 different styles of the virtues card, and in English and French as well, of course, I should point out to my Winnipeg friends. So yeah, it's a fantastic tool. That what about for you? Did anything come up for anybody for your personal? Oh, Stephanie, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I think our totem is the caring piece, the caring one, because that's what we do. And we care with compassion, and we care with a purpose and with empathy, but I think we're there to care for people. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be the middle, and then we can add the
respect.
Nice.
Responsibility.
And is that responsibility on your part, or responsibility for them as well of their own health?
It's both. It's us feeling
ideally
responsible. Yeah. But it's us responsible to educate them, as well as to care for them, as much in the best manner that we can, and provide the services, but responsible sort of Yeah, not for their ultimate well-being, but for educating them and doing the best we can.
I love that you separated those two, educating and caring for, because they're both so important, and they're not the same thing at all. And I thank you for pointing that out. That's really important. Did anybody innately think of themselves right away for their personal virtue shield? Because that's one of your reflection questions. What does your personal virtue shield look like? I appreciate all the smiles. I like all the smiles. That means that it did come up for a lot of people. Good. Okay, so another video in Sutra that I added for you is another Simon Sinek video. Please don't let the quality of the video influence your perception of the quality of the information. It's really kind of a cruddy video, but it's really, really good. And it talks about that center, talks about what is your why. So very valuable. I've watched this so many times just for my own personal self as well as business endeavors. So how did that feel? How did it feel thinking about things from a virtues perspective, from a being perspective instead of a doing perspective? Did anything come up for anybody? It's a different feeling, hey? Go ahead, France.
I guess I just had that feeling of purposefulness and engagement and like, what am I trying to accomplish here? It just gives me a different vision, I guess.
Ooh, I love that you even brought up the word vision, because that's kind of the heart of it all today. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to get into like the nitty gritty, and we're going to actually learn how to speak using these virtues. So this is your third key. Actually, it's your fourth, fifth, and sixth key. So the first one is learning how to acknowledge using virtues. So this means you see someone doing something and you're just going to say, wow, I really appreciate your thoughtfulness in, I don't know, cleaning up the photocopy room, because it really makes things a lot easier for the rest of us. That was really thoughtful. That's, you need nothing from them. You're not asking anything of them. You're just saying, wow. And then they identify with that emotion. Because listen with your body for a moment. If I say, Lynn, you are so nice. What is Lynn probably going to say? Oh, no, stop, I'm not. But if you say, Lynn, that was so kind of you to help that lady pick up her groceries when she dropped them. She can't say, oh, I'm not nice. You just proved that she's nice or kind or helpful or thoughtful. And when you recognize these things in yourself, it fuels for more, right? Because the reality is we're just adult children, right? Like that is the reality. We're all just adult children, and we need to be reminded of our greatness. So the guiding, and there's like 3 steps. We're going to do it on the next slide. So when we are guiding someone, we are practicing the courage to be kind instead of right. So instead of saying, oh, you know that this goes over here, you can say, I would really appreciate if we practice orderliness by keeping all the staples over here. And I'm using very sad examples, but pardon me, you get the, I hope you get the gist. And then the third way to speak the language is to redirect. So this is correction. So this is naming a virtue you need instead of shaming and blaming. So we're going to do we're going to do each of them, and we're going to practice them. So I'm going to ask you for each of the 3 different acknowledge, guide, and correct, the 3 different strategies. I'm going to ask you for real life examples from your workplace. Like, what are things that you actually have to deal with? And then together we can look at the list of virtues and see how we can get things moving in a more humanistic, natural way. Okay. So what is a virtues acknowledgement? So 3 parts. First, the opening phrase. I saw you do this. I honor your patience. You have been very diligent. I appreciate your compassion. And then you name the virtue that you observed, and then you give the evidence. And the evidence, as we said with the "oh, you're so nice" example, is the most important part, because that's the part that really feeds. It's almost like feeding your hunger for validation as a human in a way, you know? And you'll notice when we do the virtues acknowledgements in our closing, just how powerful this really feels. So I have a few examples here. And I have to shrink you guys. I really like seeing you, but I have to shrink you. So I've noticed your patience while dealing with difficult clients or difficult colleagues. Opening, virtue, evidence. I admire your curiosity and understanding. How? What's the taking the time to have these difficult conversations or these uncomfortable conversations? Opening, virtue, proof. Your organization and orderliness during this transition has been incredibly helpful. Okay, so virtue is something you already, an acknowledgement is something you already see, and you just want to honor the person for it. And it keeps them doing it more. Second one is the guidance statement. So the only difference is the opening. Everything else is the same. Name the virtue, identify the proof. So here's some examples. And I would also like to point out the difference between, this isn't a virtues project thing, this is an Asta-ism. So there's a big difference between saying, we need to be patient while we're working on the working through the process, as opposed to you need to be patient while we work through the process. Always use we. Always, always, always. It creates warmth, it creates unity, and it breaks down that us and them power struggle kind of thing. Or the being right and being kind, right? So just a few more examples. How can we show compassion when we feel rushed? Because as we learned in the first module, time is the biggest threat to compassion, right? So as long as we all can be aware of that, we can be like, oh, I'm rushed. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. I have a lot on my plate. You're going to have way less time to be compassionate. And as a parent, I mean, just if you can't think of it at work, just think about it as a parent, right? What will help you find your courage to meet this challenge? This is tricky. This is hard. This is uncomfortable. You know, we failed last time. We're trying again. What will help us find our courage? Oh, and see, what will help you find your courage? What will help us find our courage? That was my own typo right there. And we can be direct too. Please be honest and tell me what's on your mind. And then again, using the we. This is very useful in meetings. We need to be respectful by listening to what each person has to say. Just calling people, instead of saying, I'm not finished talking yet, you just say, I really need you to be respectful while I'm expressing myself, right? It's just so different because you're giving them the opportunity to make a different choice. So the final strategy for the language is redirection. So this is naming the desired virtue versus blaming and shaming. So this is really big in restorative justice and juvenile detention centers and prisons and things like that. So again, the only thing that changes is the opening phrase. Naming the virtue and naming the evidence is the same. So again, a few examples. Please be considerate and I'm using, I tried to use some business examples. Please be considerate about how this affects our brand. Instead of, I don't know, you know, you can't wear that to work. You would say, please be considerate about how this respects our brand. That's much more us, much more warm, much more inclusive. What would help you be tactful even when you're irritated? I have a whole lot of bosses. I wish I knew about that sentence, that opportunity, because it makes them have to take responsibility. What would help you be tactful even when you're irritated? You're pointing out they're irritated and they're not being tactful. So they have an opportunity to make a different choice. And there's no blaming or shaming. It's just conversation. What is a respectful way to say that? I say that to my preteen a lot. What is a respectful way to say that? Instead of, I don't like how you're talking to me, or I don't know. It's just such a beautiful way. It's just such a beautiful way. You need to be peaceful. What would be fair to both of you? Right? That's very common too, about the conversation around equality and equity, right? We need to be peaceful. What would be fair to both of you? So opening, virtue, and evidence. And that is the simplicity of the virtue statement. So I just want to bring you ladies, see you. So I wonder, is there any work examples? Is there anything that comes up at work that you constantly find yourself repeating, or something, an issue that constantly keeps coming up, so that we can help you right here, right now, in real time, come up with the virtue statements that you would need to help you work through that? If you want, sorry, I didn't see who said that.
I was going to say, just before you go into this, when you say the last example, you need to be, would you say you need to be if you're redirecting, or would you say we need to be peaceful?
So excellent question, because, so this is like the third, this is like the last place you go before you lose your temper. So you can say you in this case, because this is like the last straw, right? We've already talked about we in the guiding. You didn't take the guiding, so now we got to correct. We're still not going to poo-poo on you, but now we are going to say you are responsible for peacefulness. You are responsible for thoughtfulness. You are responsible for, you know, and you can have these conversations one-on-one, right? Because then the you is less threatening. But excellent question. Thank you for bringing that up. So does anybody have anything that they want a black and white solution to with the virtues acknowledgement or correction? I'm so happy that the Winnipeg group is here, because after you disconnect today, this is something that you can talk about. Oh, Lynn, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly comment, because it's not my role right now to offer examples, because it's really about
please do
others. No, but it's what I was noticing as you went through the virtues acknowledgement, guidance statements, and redirect statements. What was coming to me was that the virtues acknowledgement is almost about, it's about you and we, and the guidance statement is about we, and the redirect statements are more about you. Because the virtues acknowledgement is very much about building culture as well. So it is, I really appreciate what you've done, and then you give the specific example, and it's because it's a we value, right? It's about us and what we value. The guidance statement is a gentle, it's almost like as you put it, you know, it's a progression, and that's very we oriented, because we're guiding the person to remember the culture that exists and is being created. And then the redirect statement is almost forcément more you oriented, because it is a bit more clearer, a redirect. Some of your behaviors are impacting negatively on others and on the culture, right? So anyway, that's sort of what came to me, was that the virtues and acknowledgement, you and we, the guidance statements are more we, and then the redirect is more you, with some blending of you know, each in one another.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, Lynn. I also wanted to point out, before I forget, in regards to these redirections and stuff, you have your virtue shield, right? And if you have your company virtue shield, you can literally just use those virtues as your redirections. So, for example, I'm thinking of the Winnipeg group. So your core element that you offer is care, right? But you also have to care for each other, right? So when you're not being caring to each other in a meeting, or if you're not delivering what you promised, you're not providing care to the group or to the work or to the project. So you can always those virtues on your virtue shield, you always can redirect that. That's always your guide, right? Mm-hmm. And you can say, please, because, you know, please be compassionate when we're talking about difficult conversations. Please be considerate when we're talking about multiple viewpoints. Please, you know, whatever is on your virtue shield is your guiding light for these redirections, because it's not it's like I tell my son, it's not a surprise. You know, if you don't put your dishes in the sink, I will yell. So your choice is put the dishes in the sink or I yell. It's not a surprise, right? So if you have the virtue shield, it's not a surprise what's expected of you. We all know it. We're working towards it every day. And whenever we see it in each other, we do the virtues acknowledgement. Whenever we're missing it in each other, we redirect. And if someone's just really struggling, and that's the relationality piece. And the Simon Sinek video is really beautiful in how to, you know, like ask the questions so that we can keep that work-life thing in balance without crossing boundaries, you know, like bringing your home to work or bringing your work to home. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that too. Just always, you always have that virtue shield to go back to with your virtues acknowledgements. And if you want, you know, it could be a fun like staff activity, you know, have a virtue of the week, because we have school designation programs. We try and have schools designated with the virtues project. So you could have virtues of the week, you could have a virtue of the month, you know, you could have, you know, like if you have a virtue of the month, you just post quotes with that virtue, or maybe movies or documentaries or books, and you create a culture. Like that month is about compassion. Here's how we cultivate compassion. And I find month is a little bit better, because then, you know, it takes 30 days to create a new habit. A week is kind of like, oh, this is fun. But it's also, you could do like, you know, 54 weeks of virtues. Or, you know, in some places like there's the 7 First Nations teachings. Those are 7 virtues. If you're in a Christian establishment, you have the Christian virtues. You know, like there's so, it's so, that's what's beautiful about it, is it's I don't know if transcontinental is the right word, but like it expands across all people, places, cultures, and religions, you know. So I'm looking at the time. My time says we have 5 minutes left. And I really did want to just, well, first I wanted to actually ask if there's any other questions before we offer each other virtues acknowledgements, because I'm actually really excited to give some of you virtues acknowledgements. But does anybody have any questions about anything that we've talked about, or something that's not sitting well, or anything? I appreciate how engaged everybody looks. So, okay, so I just wanted to offer, and I wanted to start, and I did actually include this sheet, which has, it's like a cheat sheet of how to do the 3 different things. So you'll find that on Sutra. And then on Sutra, you'll find the chapter about be impeccable with your word. And then the other thing, these are the other 2 references that I have on Sutra, and you'll notice that the theme is systems thinking. And so, yeah, you might go down a Google rabbit hole with systems thinking after that. But anybody from St. Paul University would be happy to guide you on the systems thinking rabbit hole, because it's a good one. So I wanted to, yeah, we have 4 minutes. So any questions before we do virtues acknowledgements? No, we're good. We established that, right? Okay. I just want to make sure we have space for everybody, because I'm such a talker. Okay, so I wanted to offer for Bianca actually a virtues acknowledgement, and I wanted to honor your dedication and your commitment to creating awareness about social and emotional intelligence, and working so hard to incorporate it into the systems that are crippling humanity in our daily life. And I really appreciate that you do it at a post-secondary level. I appreciate that you do it for free on the Meetup platform. And I appreciate all the opportunities you give people to really and truly live out their best selves. And I just really wanted to thank you for that. So if anybody else has a virtues acknowledgement that they would like to offer to anybody, please do. I really would like you to feel how it feels to get one and how it feels to give one, because it really is addictive once you get the hang of it. Abigail, can I call on your courage to offer someone a virtues acknowledgement?
I will try. And thank you, Asta, for this session. Yeah, I will try. I will dedicate my virtues acknowledgement to you, because I really appreciate I'm looking at the virtue, there's no authenticity, but I appreciate your authenticity. You sharing your vulnerability and your passion. Yeah, for just promoting human-centered interaction. And I'm not doing it well, but I just want to say I appreciate your authenticity and openness and sharing your vulnerability. When we did the Johari window model, I really appreciated that you sharing some of the hidden parts of yourself that's not obvious to us. For me, I was quite touched by that, because you shared it in you were vulnerable and authentic, and they were just real. There was no drama, it was just like, there it is. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And that is a virtues acknowledgement, because I can't deny what you said, because you gave the evidence, right? You gave the evidence. You're right. This is, so thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge that it's not a science, right? We're just trying to remember to just open virtue, and the most important part is the evidence, so that they can't be like, oh no. You want them to own it. You want them to recognize that beautiful part of themselves that is a gift to everyone that they interact with, right? And you just did, so thank you for that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And you can hear it in the voice, right? When a person gets a virtues acknowledgement, you can hear it. You've just touched them. You've changed their entire day, So, and that's a gift that you have to offer the world now. So I see Gabrielle is here because we're at the hour. I just wanted to offer that every Friday, I do offer a compassion circle for the sole purpose of offering virtues acknowledgements. So I invite you to join if it's something you'd like. If you're having a hard day, come in. We're here to love you. I have some reflection questions on Sutra for you. If you have any questions, or if you want to chat about anything, please don't be shy to reach out. The Virtues Project is the heart and soul of what I do, but I just love anything to do with balancing tasks and relationships and getting that humanity into our systemic norms. So yeah, I just really wanted to thank you for your presence, all of you that are here and those of you that will be joining us later. Your presence truly is a gift, and I am deeply honored to be a part of this series. It's just such a joy. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and to Gabrielle and Bianca for putting it all together. And I left a little gift for you too. There's some songs. I always like to end with songs.